forward to what will we be discussing today. So as you join, let us know where you're joining from. I can see Rosemary already saying she's joining from Nairobi. We have Sophie from Dakar, Senegal. Thank you for joining us. We have Agnes from Mombasa. Thanks for joining us. Who else is here? Liz from Geneva. Thanks for joining us. So as you join, let us know. We are happy to have you on board. The conversation is about to get started. So we will let you know when we're ready to start. All right, so we can see we have Anne from Nairobi, Immaculate joining from Nairobi, Lucy joining from Nairobi, Karibuni sana. We are so happy to have you here. We're excited for the conversation that's about to start. We have Vero from Kilifi, Edith from Nairobi, Helen all the way from London, Karibu sana. We are happy to have you on. We have Ruth saying she's joining from Netherlands. She's excited to be here. So we are happy to have you on, Ruth. Welcome very much to the session. So I can see we have a good forum. I think I can hand over. We are almost at 60 people having joined the session. So I'll hand over to you, Pauline, so that you can start the introduction of the guest.
Okay. So thank you very much, Dorcas and Marsha, for the good intro. And we will start the webinar. So if you have any questions, please put them in the chat group. So as we go, Dorcas and Marsha will be there to pick them up, and we'll be happy to answer all your questions. So we want to say karibu sana. Welcome to today's webinar. Today's webinar is about defining your success circle. Yeah, defining your success circle. Yeah, one of the key things that we were never taught, but is a key ingredient that will help us build our careers, and even our businesses eventually, for those who will get into entrepreneurship. So I want to start with a interesting quote. And for those of you who know me and follow me, you know I love quotes. So I'll start by saying, show me your circle and I'll show you your future. Yeah, show me your circle and I'll show you your future. So the people around you, actually determine how far you go and how far you grow. So that's what I want to talk about today with some lovely ladies who have joined me. Yeah, and this is in the context of even just looking at my own career. So when I look at my own career, I would say when I look back at every big career break that have made in the past, it has actually involved somebody else. Yeah, it has actually involved somebody else. Yeah, so success doesn't happen when you're alone. Yeah, success doesn't happen when you're alone. Yeah, so if you determine on how far you want to grow your career, but I can tell you, for me, with my career and my career journey, everywhere that I have actually made great strides, I've had help. I've had somebody who has held my hand and showed me the way. Yeah. So, and also, as a believer, I believe that actually God will bless you through other people. So having relationships is a key ingredient in this thing called life. Yeah, so and that's what you're going to be talking about today. Yeah, so I want us to talk about that so that we can now start clarifying who we need to surround ourselves with. So thank you very much for joining us today. So I want to start with a very warm welcome to our speakers. And also thank you for the audience, because we would not be doing this if there was no audience. So thank you for showing up. And I would like to ask to please, and this is now to the speakers, so we can actually spotlight our speakers in so that you can see them. So I would like our speakers to start us off with their own personal introduction and for them to tell us what a success circle means to them personally. So I'll start with the person at the top, which is Liz, followed by Emily, and then Maggie.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Pauline. I'm so happy to be here. And I'm looking forward to such a wonderful conversation. I mean, when you started off with your quote, it reminded me what we learned in school a long time ago. When you sleep with dogs, you wake up with fleas. So you really need to watch your circle and what rubs off on you. So thank you so much for having me here. My name is Liz Ntonjira. I like to describe myself as a storyteller. I work at the intersection of youth leadership, women's empowerment, public affairs, policy, and of course, strategic communications across Africa and globally. I'm also an author of a book called #YouthCan, really a testament to my passion and advocacy around youth work. For me, a success circle it's not really just a network, but it's a group of trusted people who challenge, support, and push each other to grow. Remember, it's pushing each other to grow. And it's where learning is mutual, feedback is honest, and collective success is the goal. I want to see all of us thrive. That's what I envision or what I see a success circle looking like.
Fantastic. I really like that element of everybody pushing each other to grow. Yeah, very important. Yeah, so if you're in a group and it's not pushing you in any way to grow, yeah, maybe you ask yourself if you're in the right group. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for that, Liz. Over to you, Emily.
Thank you, Pauline, and good evening, everybody, or good morning, wherever you are. My name is Emily Kamundiosoro. I am a HR leader. I've been in HR for about 20 years, and I'm also a professional coach. I'm very much into mentorship, especially for the young people. Yes, been in various industries doing this work. Pauline, thank you very much for inviting me. What does a success circle mean for me? When Pauline sent this, I went to Google, like, what is a success circle? Is it actually definite? And for me, I always say that success is actually a journey. It's not a destination. And the fact that you're calling it a circle, for me, it means that every part, at every point of that circle, you're making progress. So you're counting the steps, and therefore each step within that circle is success. And therefore, for me, what would go in there is recognition from a self perspective that you've got people in there and you've got things. So the people are who will carry you along. Pauline started by saying that nobody succeeds alone. So who are those people for you? They could be your friends, they could be your close allies in the profession who will challenge you, who will be there for you when times are tough. And therefore they kind of help you to create that balance in life. And then for me, the things then that other than the people that would go in there is your own values that would define success. And for me, one of those is, I believe family, whether it is nuclear or extended, whatever family means for you. I think for me that helps me to define success in the event in terms of how do I serve them. And then the other thing is self-development, growth in that circle. How am I growing myself? And what are my aspirations? They could be career, they could be financial. So if you think about the whole cycle of life, and then for me at the center of that circle is what really grounds me, and that's my faith, and that's God who has, kind of without whom I would not probably have achieved anything that I have achieved. So for me, that's a definition of my success circle.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for that, Emily. And I like that angle that you brought in of values. Yeah, that you need people who have similar values, yeah, in your circle. Yeah, because you can also end up having a values clash, yeah, with people around you. Thank you for that addition. Maggie, over to you.
Good evening, everyone. Fantastic to be here. Thank you, Pauline, for organizing this. On Thursday at 7:16, we are enriching each other. So thank you for that. So how do I describe myself? I am a researcher. I use data to provide insights and solutions. So my biggest weakness is that you tell me something, I'm like, it's like my head is, I have a server. And I'm like, okay, what's the data? My friends tell me make emotional decisions. I'm like, nope, I need to have the data. And for me, that's what I've done for the last 25 years. I met Pauline when we were in the university. We used to work under the hot sun, and we did graduate, and here we are at the same webinar, and we continue to be friends. Now, a success circle, for me, I thought, what is a circle? Does a circle have a beginning or an end? It doesn't. The minute I have my success circle holding me, we're in a circle. So long as I don't put together who I started with, it's a circle of continuity. It means that if there are like 5 or 6 or 10 people, every person is adding their energy into the circle. So let's say there was a success circle for Pauline, Liz, Emily, and myself. We're holding hands. I have no recollection of who came in first or who came in last, who is stronger or who is weaker, but every person on that circle, so long as they hold hands together, then it means, and they don't let go, that's the most important thing. It means that they are holding me together. And that's the thing about a success circle. Because they are holding together, there's no beginning, there's no end. And even when I achieve, and I'm like, I'm at the top of the mountain, the circle still remains and say, you know what? You need to go round and round and round. So for me, I see it's a system of continuity, renewal, challenging. So if I'm going up, the circle goes up with me. Sometimes the circle could go higher than me and they're telling me, Chick, what are you doing up there? You need to come up with us. So I feel that a circle celebrates me, challenges me, comforts me, and once in a while, we do laugh and relax, but we still keep our hands together. So that's my perspective.
Fantastic. Really like that. I really like that addition of continuity. Yeah, that there's no end to a circle. Yeah, and it brings me to the thought process of there'll be people joining the circle, others will be getting out, others will be coming in because you're at different stages of your life. You understand? Yeah, so you might be requiring different types of support. Yeah, so as you have heard from my guests, yeah, so by the way, all these people have been in my success circle in one point of my life. Yeah, so for those of you who know me, I'm very intentional. So even with the guests I bring here for you, I bring them in so that you can actually get to see it works, guys. Yeah, so just to introduce my version of my guests and to the relevance of the topic today, Liz here, yeah, we worked together when I was in media, yeah, and she's like maybe 15 years younger than me, yeah. But Liz here inspired me to write my book. Why? Because she's the one who actually was writing her book and she came and reached out for me to write a chapter in her book. So can you see? Iron sharpens iron. So I looked at her and I was, Yani Chick is like 15 years younger than me. She's writing a book. She motivated me. So for me, I see Liz to date as my reverse mentor. She's the one who gave me the courage to write my story, to write a book. You've heard about Maggie. Maggie, we were classmates from university, which is almost close to almost 30 years now. Yeah, yeah. But for her, I'll tell you where she came in very handy in my journey. So Maggie came in when, especially, so we've been friends since campus, but for her, she made CEO. I think she was the first amongst our lot to make CEO level, yeah, to get to the C-suite level. Yeah, so she inspired us. But the other thing for her, what she did is she got the courage to get out and get into entrepreneurship before the rest of us. So when I decided that I would get into entrepreneurship, she became my business mentor. So I remember the first time I sat with her and I told her, oh my God, this is crazy. And this has happened. Then she told me, what do you mean? This happens to everybody. So there were times I needed her support. So I would actually have coffee and breakfast with her more often, especially when I was starting out, until I got my feet. So she acted out as a business mentor. And then Emily here, yeah, so but there I have many of these stories with many people in my life. Yeah. So Emily, I met her, especially when I was now getting interested in coaching, the coaching practice. So we are both from HR, but for her, she was more of the pioneers who started and got into coaching. And so I decided, you know what, this is an area I'm eventually going to move into. Yeah, and we were starting out the ICF Kenya chapter, and they needed people who were interested in coaching. I just got it certified. Well, one of the pioneers of getting certified in coaching in Kenya. So she called all the people who are pioneers so that she can start. And so for her, she ended up becoming my coaching mentor. Yeah, because at that point she even became a president for the local chapter, that's ICF Kenya. And she was actually one of the first presidents, yeah, global presidents from Kenya in the ICF global community. ICF global community is a community of coaches across the world that actually commit to the highest professional standards in coaching. So there are many people calling themselves coaches, but if you see the ICF sign, now those are the highest level of professional coaches. So guys, you can see my journey I have been helped by many. I have walked my journey with other people because I truly believe that iron sharpens iron. So that is the premise and the background of why these ladies, lovely ladies, are here. So I want us to move to the next question. And I will start now this time with Maggie. And I want us to I want you to tell me which has been the most critical relationship in your career and why.
So I'll talk about one major one, but I'll add one that is also important. So I started my career as a researcher in 1999. Some people are not born. And
Yes.
I started working for a company called the Stedman Group. I just finished campus and I joined the business as a young researcher. And the owner of the company was called Mr. Roger Stedman, was the person who was most instrumental. So they needed somebody to go to Uganda, and I was selected to go to Uganda because I was single and young. So it was a cheap relocation. I mean, I like to say that because that was a fact. But I remember that when I went to Uganda, Roger Stedman came to Uganda like every quarter, and he'd accompany me to meetings. Like we'd go for pitches, he'd work with me to rehearse. And I would say, when we go to the pitch, are you going to make the presentation? He'd say, no, you're making the presentation. He'd only chip in when it was necessary. So he did really support me in Uganda. And then when I came back to Kenya, I worked with him. So I actually worked with him for like 9 years before I hit the C-suite. And they advertised for a job. I didn't bother to apply, which was the managing director of the company. I didn't bother to apply. In fact, I was sitting on the same floor where guys were going for interviews. So I would see people walking and I'd be like, oh my God, is that our new boss? And I would laugh and say, oh my God. So around 5 o'clock, Roger calls me to the boardroom and says, hey, why didn't you apply for this job? And I said, you know what? For the last 9 years in this business, I have fought wars. It's like being in, I don't know, Afghanistan. I have done debt collection. I have fought wars, competitors. I mean, the things that I've done for that business, I was like, I'm too tired to be CEO, and I told him, I appreciate that you've mentored me, but I can't do this. And he told me, you know why? Because of all the things that you've done, I think you qualify for this job. And he had walked with me through each and every step. But the most important thing that he did is that even when I made mistakes, and I did make quite a number of mistakes, I would expect that he would be so upset. He would come to me and say, okay, we agree there's a problem. Yes. You contributed to the problem. Yes. But what was the lesson? So I'd say he really mentored me to be who I am. I'm still in touch with him today. We do have lunch at least every 6 months or even shorter intervals. So he's been my mentor. And even when I started my business, he told me, run and do it. And you must do this in your lifetime. So that's one person that I appreciate. But the most important thing is that he allowed me to make mistakes. He allowed me to do things that people not. In fact, there's a time that when after I became CEO, I was so confident, and he used to sit one floor above me. He used to come to my office to hover around and just sit in my office and see the drama. Hey, do this, do that. And he never said anything. He was just watching me and saying, you're doing the right thing. So he's been one of my biggest cheerleader, but that's career-wise. But I just must say, for this season today, because I mean, at some point you go through a career, you're successful. At some point, you're like, okay, that I need to plan my life. What is the next season of my life? And I must say, Pauline, I want to say this and not call it out. In this season, we turned 50 this year. And at some point, you're like, oh my God, what am I going to do past this next season? But I'd like to say, Pauline brought it together. Pauline, put us into a book club. And for the last 1 year, we have studied books that are going to make me and a lot of people in that group better. We've looked at our career. We looked at our personal life. We are planning what we're going to do for the next 50 years because we're going to be alive for that long. So I would say I'll talk about Roger career-wise, but consolidating all these things into a platform that says, I look at my career, my social life, my personal life, my finances. Pauline, you have been very, very instrumental. And I just want to thank you for that.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Now you want me to tear up now? Too early. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. So yes, that's my 50s buddies. We brought in the buddies together. Yeah, and it's been a lovely journey. Thank you. Thank you, Maggie. Emily? So you can tell us who has been the most critical. What has been the most critical relationship in your career and why?
All right, good question. And if you've listened to me, if you've hung around me long enough, you've probably heard this story before. But for me, this individual is a gentleman. His name is Andy. I had just applied for a job from Kenya Airways. I was working as a customer service agent, and you know how life does you when you're starting out and you now want the next thing. So I saw this job, applied for it. So I was working as a PA to the managing director. And then my first boss changed within 6 months. And so we had a new one. I was working for a Swiss company. And he got to, he had the opportunity to speak to all his direct reports, just asking them, what are you doing? What are your aspirations like? And of course, I was 6 months into the job as a PA. My background, by the way, is tourism management. That's my first degree. I was there thinking how I'm lost career-wise. I'm like, okay, from tourism, now I was working in an agribusiness company. I'm like, where will this end up? And so by the time we had this conversation with my boss, I was already back to school because I was like, let me reset, accept, start again. So I'd already gone back to school to study HR. So when he sat me down and he asked, what are you doing? What's your aspiration like? How is the work here? And I said, I'm genuinely bored. Like not bored because I wasn't busy enough, but I'm like, this is not I want to do more. My answer was, I want a bigger challenge. And his question was, what kind of challenge would you like? And I thought about it. So I said, you know what, I'm back to school. If you ever start a HR department in this company, please consider me because I'm back to school. And I'd done my homework, looked around. We were just 40 employees in that organization. So the rest is history. I was matched with the finance director to run payroll as I do the PA work. And 6.5 years later, I grew into that organization. But this gentleman, what he did was he gave me a chance. And beyond that, he was genuinely interested in my growth, sent me to Switzerland to see what other HR people do. I met other PAs who are doing double hatting jobs. So I didn't feel so, because, you have confidence issues when you really do this. So he gave me the chance, but I also did my part and went back to school. He even came for my graduation. He was forever proud. And it wasn't just me. I watched him, how he led all his direct reports, how he celebrated them, how he challenged them, and spotlighted them. So for me, this gentleman is really, I would say, I owe my success to him, because then I got a footing into HR. And to date, I mean, my growth, everything I learned in that organization probably made the biggest foundation into the success that I've had in the field. So I owe it very much to Andy Watts.
Yes, fantastic. So you can see all our speakers' journeys have been helped by that one person. Yeah, that one person who decides, I'll take a chance with you. Yeah, Liz, you can share yours.
Yes, for sure. As my son almost made a cameo here. And so the most important relationship for me in my career, to be honest, has been with my family, and more specifically, my immediate family, my son and my husband. For any career moves, any professional development decision I make, I have to discuss it with my husband and my son, because I feel so strongly at the end of the day, these are the people that get impacted by the decisions that I make. Because I know the kind of work that I'm involved in requires a lot of travel. So I know for sure we will need to collaborate in a lot of the work that we do. And I'm truly very grateful that I have a thought partner in a husband that I can ask, when I'm trying to make a decision. He becomes a partner. And it's so funny. The reason why I say my family is because the decisions we make permeate, they really influence and impact our small family unit. And I'll give you a funny story, because end of last year, I think was the first time I was going to my son's school for the PTA to just get the results of his, and every teacher was like, "You're his son. I've never seen you." I'm like, I know you've never seen me.
Wow.
So it's those sacrifices and trade-offs that you have to do that I feel are really important and critical for any professional, any career conversation that I have. I think next in line is I typically have those conversations next with my mentors. There's been somebody who's been really fantastic all through. You must know her, Pauline. She's called Julie Masiga. I worked with her and met her very many years ago when I was working with True Love, Drum, the whole franchise of those magazines. And to date, I think I've known her since I was maybe 18 years old, and I still keep in touch. She's been my referee, my mentor, my sponsor. She's been really such an amazing person. And it's people like her and other previous, she was my boss at some point and became my friend, my mentor. And also previous bosses that I've had, to be honest, have had in one way or the other impacted me. I remember learning so much around deadlines, about vision, about I've picked up different things from different people. So for me, they've been really critical and really poignant for my life. But at the center of it all has been my family before I make any decision.
Fantastic. So thank you very much. So from the audience, if you have any questions, please put them in the chat. Yeah, there's a point we'll get to answering your questions. Yeah, so let's just get into the technical bit of this conversation. Yeah, so you can see that there's certain critical relationships that every professional should actually nurture for their career success. So for me, I can tell you, I'm a byproduct. You've seen all the people I pick along the way, yeah, who I work with, and I learn from. But I can tell you, for me, and now I'm actually in the journey. I'm in the process of writing my purpose journey book. Yeah. So Liz, I'm on second book. Can you see? Second book coming up. But now it was very interesting. Until you sit down and write your journey, you won't be able to connect the dots. So it's very interesting that I've realized the people who have actually helped me in my career journey and where I've made big moves in my career. Interesting enough, they've been men. Majority, especially my career. So like the one critical person who really has mentored me over 20, 25 years now, I was looking back, is a gentleman, called Abdi Mutwafi. I know he doesn't like me mentioning his name. He likes to be incognito. He says he'll get his reward when he gets to heaven. But for him, he handheld me into the HR profession. Yeah. Have you ever seen somebody who actually just gives generously of themselves? Yeah, to the point where he mentored me. Then he even mentored my sisters. Yeah, and then at some point I mentored his children. Yeah, now who are I've mentored the children now who are PhD holders, some of them. But the interesting thing is that now we've become family friends. So you see now the relationship even shifts. Yeah, it stops being about mentorship. So nowadays, by the way, our mentorship talks can be like once in a year, just to catch up. So for me, I want us to differentiate these relationships. Yeah, let's talk about the relationships and how they operate. So I want us to differentiate the who and the what and the purpose. Yeah, that each of these relationships play. So what I'll ask is, I'll start with Maggie. Maggie, I want you to just talk about mentors, reverse mentors, as well as sponsors. Yeah, but in your view, who are they and the kind of purpose that they play in our lives?
Let me start with sponsors because I sponsors, in your life you hit a level and then you feel like you've hit a dead ceiling. You just need one person to get you to the next level. So let me focus on sponsors. And what I want to do is define my definition of a sponsor. A sponsor is not what we know. I don't want to use that word. Sponyo. No. I'm talking about a career business sponsor. And for me, it is somebody who believes in your potential or my potential, even when you don't. Somebody who comes to you and says, Maggie, or whoever, you are so good and you must do this thing. And you're like, really? Who are you talking to? And that's a sponsor for me. This sponsor is going to risk their credibility because they say, I believe in you and I'm going to risk my credibility. I'm going to put something forward for you. A sponsor is somebody who, for me, stands on the mountaintop and says, I believe in Maggie and I want her to do this. And they walk ahead of me and they level the mountains, as the Bible says, and I walk through because the mountains have been leveled. So maybe I can give one or two examples of sponsors that have been very instrumental in my life. Let me give you a simple one. I had a friend who I knew when I was in my early 20s. And when I was in Uganda, he got into some trouble because he was working in Rwanda and had to drive back to Kenya through Uganda. So he called me. He said, I don't have fuel in my car. I don't have accommodation. My car is broken down. Can I stay at your place? This is a man, anyway. So I was like, since I knew since when I was 18, he stayed in the guest room for 3 days, sorted out his life. And I even put fuel in his car and I said, God bless you. May you move forward. That was when I was like in my 20s. I meet him. So I go into a pitch in my 40s. I have never heard from this guy. And then when I see the names because those were the days for COVID, I see the names, I'm like, I know this name. So we go through the pitch, and he calls me, tells me, this job is yours. I'm the boss here. I made the decision. I've told them this job is yours or yours. And we got a very good contract. But you see, it was somebody who said, because you trusted me, and you never even asked me for a cent, I'm going to give you something. Let me talk about a corporate sponsor. When I was CEO of the company I used to work for, my biggest challenge was how to navigate the global network. because you're sitting in Kenya. You're in Kenya, you're doing very well. But when you're at the global level, it's very difficult. So I went to one of the global conferences, and this was a global conference where they brought all our CEOs together. And I sat next to the German CEO, and that was the best session of my life. And I talked about my issues, and he told me, do this, do this, do this. And for the next 3 years, that was a guy who I could call, and I navigated through the system. He was a successful, Germany compared to Kenya, their turnover was like 10 times or 20 times more than Kenya. But he helped me navigate. And just because I sat next to him and he said, you know what? I kind of like you as a colleague, and I'm going to help you. This is my CSR at the company. And that happened. So that was a contract, like a corporate sponsor. But maybe one lesson I can give in terms of a sponsor, somebody who stands on the mountaintop and says, I believe in this person. We pitch for a job. The value of this contract, even me, I used to calculate. You put the USD times, you convert to Kenya shillings. I used to ask God, is this job possible? On my Excel worksheet, I had to expand the column for the zeros to fit. And I would ask God, is this going to be possible? And I met somebody, and I'm not going to say her name, and she said, because when I was a young researcher, you allowed me to work in the organization. Very clear selection, no corruption, and she was mentored and then moved on to that place. She said, this particular contract is yours. And she sat in a meeting, it was a donor meeting, and she said, I learned all my research from Maggie, and this job must go to her. And that was it. So when I say a sponsor stands on the mountaintop and says, like a mad prophet, I believe in this person, and they must get the job. So for me, I feel my destiny has been shaped to a large extent by sponsors. I don't know why. Sometimes I don't know why you're helping me. I don't know why you came into my life. But sometimes I say, it's probably God who brought you into my life. Not probably. I believe it's God who brought you into my life. And a sponsor cannot be defined. Their motivation cannot be defined rationally or with data. They just decide that I'm going to sponsor you for the rest of your life. And I do pray that all the people in this session will get sponsors who will say, I am standing on the line, and I'm standing here saying that I believe in this person, and I believe they will deliver. But on the contrary, it's a risk, because by the time a sponsor is doing that, they're taking a bullet for you. You must ensure that they survive that bullet. Otherwise, it's going to be done for the wrong reason. So yeah, that's my experience with sponsors.
Fantastic. So thank you very much. Yeah, so sponsors are people who sit on tables that you do not sit in. Yeah, so these are people who can actually vouch for you, isn't it? And they are willing to put their reputation on the line. Yeah, but there are two key ingredients. The reason why, Maggie, those people were able to do that is, number one, you had a performance currency. Number one, they knew you could do the job, yeah, because they have seen you do it before, isn't it? But the second most important currency is relationship currency, yeah, that you are able to actually be cordial with your colleagues, cordial with with the people who come along your path, and you are able to maintain good relationships. Yeah, I tell people to date. Yeah, you can see, Liz, we worked maybe almost what now? Maybe 10, 15 years ago. No, actually, it's not 10. It's maybe almost 20 now. I tell people, majority of the people who come even into my programs, the people who come for coaching, are people I worked with 20, 25 years ago, guys. So wherever you are, the first people you need to be nice to are your colleagues. Yeah, you don't look outside. It's the people around you. Can you hear? You've heard of Maggie's stories. You can hear. These are people who have interacted with her. And especially, there's this thing of when you hit it and you become a leader, you think you don't need the people below you. Funny enough, you actually need the people below you. Yeah, because eventually one day they'll be at the top when you've gotten out. Do you know that? So you will still need them. Yeah, but we're not maintaining these relationships because you're going to benefit from them. We're going to do this so that you can actually ensure that you have a good, impactful career yeah, in terms of how you treated people, in terms of how you helped people's careers. Thank you for that, Maggie. Thank you. So, Emily, yeah, I give you the ones that matter close to you, which are coaches and allies. Maybe you can talk about coaches and allies.
These two, I guess you don't have to be a coach to be an ally. So let me just do globally. An ally for me is individuals who will keep you accountable. They could be your peers. You probably walk the journey with them. Somebody who will be able to challenge you, challenge even your thinking. I'll give you an example. You want to make a decision to quit your job like I did. There is somebody I reached out to and said, you know what, I'm done. I want to go and try entrepreneurship. And those are the genuine people who will tell you, are you out of your mind? Have you thought about 1, 2, 3 things? How many children do you have? What I had somebody say, what does your husband do? What are your children? Are they in school? Do you have enough savings? So they help you to think through what you haven't. And sometimes they'll tell you the plain truth. The allies will also celebrate with you. They will celebrate your success. They won't just come into your life to take, but they're also kind of adding value. They're adding value to you at every point in your journey. It doesn't have to be career. It can be big decisions on, where do I take my child to school, once they're done with the exams. It can be small things, it can be big things. But really individuals who keep you accountable, that I can count on this person to tell me as it is. There can be peers at work, how you show up in a meeting. Maybe you are rude or you are really rough, and somebody will call you and tell you, Emily, I think that comment you made, you would have said it differently. And those are really genuine, people who help you. And so they're kind of, I would say they're catalysts for your growth along the journey.
Yeah, fantastic. So thank you. Yeah, so I tell people, if you don't have a coach, there's an aspect of you that you're yet to meet. There's a version of you you're yet to meet. Coaches help you and push you to think differently around your challenges. Yeah, what Emily has just said. But I can tell you, we can have mentors, and mentors are people who've gone ahead of us. They know the journey, and we can see the proof and the results in their lives. But now coaches go a step further, because sometimes some of us can grow to the level of the coach. But the beauty about a coach is that he can even produce a version that he himself is not. Do you know that? Yeah, you can actually become even greater than your coach, just because they will ask you the right questions, they will challenge you, they will start helping you reimagine yourself. Yeah, so if you do not have a coach, guys, then you're not challenging yourself well. Yeah, and I can tell you, once you get that coach, you won't believe the things that you have started doing, things that you thought you were impossible. Yeah, so that's what coaches do. They challenge us and they hold us accountable. Yeah, and they believe, they don't give you answers, they believe that you have all the answers within you. Thank you very much, Emily. Liz, yeah, so for you, Liz, I wanted you to just touch on also sponsors and learning circles. Yeah, have you been able to benefit from those other relationships? Because those are also key relationships for our growth.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. Thank you so much, Pauline. I think for me, learning circles, who they are, for me, would be peers, whether it's industry colleagues, whether it is people that, for example, Pauline and Maggie, though you went to school together, peers with similar goals, right? And I think they create spaces for ongoing learning and mutual accountability. I think I've been asked this before, and I always say it. I have this little bandwidth for negative speak. Like it's it's a very small window. And because we are all peers, and sometimes, of course, adulting is hard and we get to face life together. Just for that space of ongoing learning and mutual accountability, sometimes we might be carried away to complain about a lot of things. And so we have these rules that, you know, if you're complaining about a job, you can only complain about it 2-3 times. If you're not doing anything about it, don't bring it up again. If you're complaining about a relationship, if you're complaining about maybe something that you need to improve on, whether it's capacity, and you've done nothing about it, don't bring it up again. I think otherwise you get caught up in a loop of complaints and complaints. And remember, just going back to the initial conversation, Pauline, of what you mentioned, iron sharpens iron. When you sleep with dogs, you wake up with fleas. So it rubs off on you. You start viewing life in a negative perspective. And you know, we truly try to keep each other accountable by looking at life like a glass half full, not half empty. To just remain optimistic. So when the opportunities, etc., we are always there supporting each other. For sponsors, I think I have a group of really few trusted people. I think the way Maggie initially said, she needs data. She always needs data. I need data, but there's always this gut feeling that people have. I don't know. I think God gifted me with some gut feeling when I'm making decisions. To be honest, I feel like I have the superpower for decisiveness. When I make a decision, I know where my path is headed, but I need my sponsors. Here are people that I look up to, people that I really respect and admire, just to soundboard and lean in on their perspective to get a different viewpoint, to discuss with them the short-term, the long-term goals, etc. So that really, really helps me. So for me, sponsors do a lot of that. I feel, Maggie, you're so blessed to have had people that have paved the way for you. I feel like I've had over my entire career bare knuckle fight to get to where I am. But of course, there's been really great people, and I have to shout out my former boss, Arlene Weinstein, when I worked at IBM. I remember being very new, being just 5 months, and there was this leadership meeting, and she said, Liz, I think you can come for this. And I went there, and I was the only Black person in the room of like about 300 leaders. And for me, it was very overwhelming. And then it took me back. And you know how you can be a little bit scared, but the beauty of being sharpened when you're young. If you have kids, please make them join Girl Guides and etc. Our motto was always be prepared. So I was always prepared. So I think that has really helped shape my journey. Having such brilliant people who see the potential, who provide those opportunities for you to thrive have been really helpful.
Fantastic. So thank you for that. So my comment around learning circles is, yes, it could be your friends, and people who you have selected, who you know your values are very similar and you're going towards similar goals, But there's also another aspect of learning circles that I want to introduce to you guys. So like for me, since my 20s, there's something I've done intentionally. So the thing is, especially whichever profession you are in, I'm sure there's a professional body to it. So a lot of us want to grow independent of your professional body. So wake up call, guys. You will not go very far with your career if you're not known in the industry, if you're not known in the profession. So the first thing I started doing is I started networking in the industry. So I've done that since my 20s. So you have to build a name outside the organization. You have to build your name and your brand outside of the organization. The other thing is, so you will find there are professional bodies that exist. So like I have one for HR, I have one for coaching. So in those circles, the best practice is being shared. The latest trainings in that field is being shared. So you remain relevant and you remain on top of your profession. Because if you seclude yourself, you can be thinking you're all that and a bag of chips, but you discover that the cheese moved a long time ago. So that's number one. Look for circles within your profession. Then the other thing is also there are also open forums that help you grow as an executive, as a leader in industry. So look out for such. Yeah, I know Rotary does a lot of that. Yeah, so they bring in professionals to share their stories. So that's an area for learning. Yeah. We also have, I think, and then they bring in the CSR aspect. But there's also one that I am in, which is called Executive Connect. This one is more for C-suite leaders, middle and C-suite leaders, where we just get to humanize leadership, where we get to hear other people's leadership journeys. So depending on your interest, look for learning circles where you're going to learn from others who are very similar to you. Yeah. Then I also have the ICF Kenya chapter. So even now, this is one where we are constantly sharpening ourselves. Yeah, we are sharpening our skill sets in coaching. Yeah. And so this is where now we're encouraging ourselves to even become more professional. So you'll find we're even having study groups, but they've been a professional coach is not cheap, neither is it easy. Yeah. So when you see people who have the ACC, PCC, and the MCC credentials, those are people who have actually put in hours of coaching. They've gone through rigorous exams. The other day I did one, I think it was the hardest exam. I've been in school for long, but I think that was the hardest exam I've done. So put yourself in such circles, because now the thing is, when you have such credentials, you don't have to qualify yourself. Yeah, when somebody sees your credential like PCC, they know what it means globally. So it actually just makes you more marketable. So guys, look for such forums, whichever profession you are in. So these are things for me I started doing when I was in my 20s, and I continue to do now. And even if you're in entrepreneurship, whichever field you are doing business and trading, you still have to keep on sharpening your saw, sharpening your axe. So you have to keep interacting with these groups. Yeah, your alumni groups. Yeah. So look for people who have similar interests to you. Learn from them. Be intentional. It's an investment. I know it's an investment, but I can tell you, with that investment, it always pays off. It always pays off. Yeah. So I want to ask another different kind of question. Yeah. So we've seen people who have helped us. Now I want to know about, are you helping others? Who are the people you're helping? Yeah, because you have been beneficiaries of other people's help. Yeah. So Liz, I want to start with you. Yeah. So who are the people in your circle that you're helping?
Oh, wow. I have a group of people that we have this small WhatsApp groups where we share all these different opportunities and all, strangely, all these people I've met through the different types of work and roles I've had in my previous roles that I've held previously. And how I support is through sharing knowledge, connecting people. It's so funny we're having this conversation because 2 calls before this one, I was just connecting somebody who I felt would align really greatly with somebody who was looking for someone and they were struggling to find talent. So just also acting as a sponsor to my circle of different people that I know. I think another way is also offering feedback. Yeah. You know, the best thing, one of the things that we can do as allies and supporters is, if I know Pauline is hiring for this, is provide the recommendation, provide, make the connection. But then it's also, you close the loop by providing feedback. I'll come back to you and say, Pauline, by the way, how did Maggie do? Or how was Emily? What areas do you think they need to work on, etc.? So I feel I owe it to also my group of mentees to share that feedback as well. I think also cultivating safe spaces for learning and open dialogue. Just learning also that, work or career does not exist in a vacuum. These people also have their day-to-day lives, their personal lives, that could get in the way of how they express or how they show up and show out at their workspaces, and how do they deal with that. And even if you don't have answers to everything, now that I know Emily is a great coach, it's a pathway. I remember somebody coming to me and saying, I need career advice around this and this issues. I want to venture into something different. And I didn't really feel like I had the capacity to do it or the knowledge. because I don't have that capability. And I recommended them to speak to you, Pauline, as a career coach, and they actually took your class. So creating those connections and pathways and supporting the best way I know how I can has been super helpful. I have about 4 people that I've committed to around mentorship, where we look at their short-term goals, their long-term goals. We actually have this whole mentorship development plan that I borrowed from my Mandela Washington Fellowship days. That was 10 years ago. And I use it as, our North Star, our template and we don't have to meet every single time. We do this maybe twice every year, 3 times, depending on our schedules. So that's how I've been giving back as well. And through the Liz Ntunjira network as well, that is about coaching, training, providing these opportunities for young people.
Fantastic. Thank you, Liz. Yeah, it's been very evident in your career that yes, you're really pro assisting people in their careers. So keep it up. Thank you. Emily?
Right. I think where do I start? I'm helping, or rather working with quite a number of people. I start with where I work. So I think this gentleman I spoke about at the beginning in terms of his influence. So he taught a lot without saying. So I observed a lot of how he led, and therefore everyone who works around me, I really try to be that boss who will support them, their careers. So everyone who's worked around me knows my style, and they know that I am really for you to grow. I am not for you to stay with me forever. I want you to do 2 years, 3 years, please move. I want to see you elevate. I want to see you promoted elsewhere in another role. I've seen people leave. I'm also an entrepreneur. I've mentored people who've gone and they've come back, to take even bigger roles, and just being able to see them also thrive elsewhere. And then the second part is what I mentioned in my introduction. I think this is my nation, my calling towards the youth. And so if you know, on my 40th birthday, I launched In My Steps Foundation. So In My Steps is an initiative that seeks to nurture young professionals coming from college, people who didn't have the advantage of knowing how to show up, how to speak, just because of their backgrounds. So how do you help them build confidence, and so that employers can support them, so that employers can give them a chance? So I'm helping them to in terms of helping make them employable, make them ready for employers to be able to take them on. I've created a network of mentors because nobody does it alone. That's what we're talking about. So how do you then attract, in the same way you are, your friends here, calling out on others, so that then we can really amplify the impact by providing more mentorship, helping them, with placements in organizations, and challenging them also to do their part. Because when you're given a chance, it's one thing, but it's another, to challenge them to do the work. So they have to put in the work. They have to take advantage of those networks and make use of them. And so that's what I'm doing in my own small spaces. And they say charity begins at home. So I do that with my children as well. I have a 20-year-old in university. So what I'm teaching and In My Steps, I am saying you must also do this. You must put in work. Yeah. And so that's, I would say in a nutshell, that's how I'm contributing.
Fantastic. Thank you, Emily. Yeah, so audience, you can see these ladies are very intentional with their lives. Yeah, and especially because they've all benefited from others. Yeah, I think it's only the right thing to always give back. So thank you very much, Emily. Maggie?
Allow me to just give an observation. This is me analyzing. I'm just listening to Lizzie and Emily. I've realized you have a very intentional way of mentorship, and you seem to have a structure, whether or not it's documented, and I think you're doing a fantastic job. So when I do a self-reflection, in my younger days, before I turned 50, in my 30s, I had a program called Mentor to Leader. I was very intentional about getting young people and teaching them career skills. I did that for 3 years. I don't know for what reason. I don't have an answer. I just stopped. In my season now, and that's what I'm saying, I'm amazed that you're very intentional. In my season now, I do mentor. However, I have a time constraint. Pauline knows my time constraints. I have career, I have kids, etc, etc. So the way I mentor is what you call, hey, we can have a mentorship session. Yes, it's rapid. You better come to the table with the clarity on what you want. And it's rapid. And even I could mentor as I'm driving to a meeting, as I am like as in, let's say I'm at home and 15 minutes, let's make the most out of it. So what I feel is that I don't have a structure.
Yeah.
But even without the structure, I do share my knowledge. I do encourage. I do ask them to dare to do things that they've not done. I ask them to take a risk. I don't criticize. If it's a referral, okay, you want a referral? Okay, do you want me to listen to you today or do you want a referral? I'm that black and white. Yeah, okay, good. I'm listening. So maybe my approach may not be as systematic as Emily's and Lee's, but I have mentored quite a number of people. And if I could just talk about one person, I'm not going to say his name. This is a young man who I met, grew up in Mukuru slums, and we had what you called rapid, fast race kind of mentorship. And even those of like, okay, what's up me? I'm busy. But when we had our 15, 20-minute sessions, they really went well. And I'm happy to say he's a very successful entrepreneur. One of his key things he said is that he wants to drive a bigger car than me. He is driving a bigger car than me. The only thing I told him, he must buy me a meal out of Kenya. So I'm challenging him. He must fly me to a destination in Europe or South Africa or wherever and buy me lunch and fly me back. What am I saying? You've done very well. However, you can do much better and hit a level. So for me, my coaching or mentorship thing is a challenge, and I am seeking that people get to a higher level. And the reason for that is that in life, you have a goal, and you hit that, you achieve the goal. When you achieve the goal, you relax. And there's nothing as bad as hitting a goal and having no ambition. So my coaching approach is that, okay, really? You did very well. Let's celebrate. Let's say, fantastic cards, flowers. Let's have a glass of wine. However, now next week, this thing is past tense. Philippians says, I think Philippians 4:3, forgetting what is behind me and pressing on to a new target. And that's for me, my mentorship. People say that it's a bit, what can I say? High performance kind of thing. But hey, you called me, you asked me to be a mentor. Let's do this together. And if you cannot do it, it's okay. So that's my approach.
Fantastic. And yes, I have experienced it. So yeah, it works. Yeah. So thank you very much, Maggie, Liz, as well as Emily, for sharing generously, yeah, with your experiences of coaching and bringing others, yeah, up. Masha, Masha, are you there? Dorcas, maybe we can hear from the audience. Anything from the audience yet? Any questions?
Yes, there are some questions. I think we can start with Liz. There's a question from Natalie. Curious to hear the conversation Liz has with her fans. Liz, would you like to share?
Absolutely. Natalie, I saw your question and I just smiled to myself because this is a very funny story I'll tell. So there's one time I got this job offer and it was going to be out of the country. And I spoke to my husband, we agreed, I spoke to all the critical stakeholders. Then I thought I was telling him by the way, I started the conversation with, Papa, how he knew I was moving jobs and because I'd had that conversation with him. And so I said, Papa, I'm what do you think about living here? And he's like, no, absolutely not. I love my friends. And this is right after I've mentioned to my soon-to-be boss that yes, relocation is not a problem.
Mm-hmm.
So and kids in their preteen, they're at a very delicate stage. So I had to go back and say, is it a must for me to relocate? Can I,
Mm-hmm.
it's just an hour's flight. It's not too far if you need me. And thank God I had a very understanding boss who said, yeah, sure, no problem if you can't. It's fine. Um, we're flexible. So those are the kind of conversations, and there's been so many times, I think, all the different roles I've held over the past close to 20 years. I've always taken both my son and daughter to my places of work, and
Mm-hmm.
said, working, this is what I'm doing, this is what's happening here, and introduce them even to my different workmates, etc. Because I really want to take them on that journey
Yeah.
of this is what work involves. So when you hear them on a call or whatnot, they really understand. And that's why for me, they're critical stakeholders of everything that I do. So it's really, if you haven't, I would like to challenge you all who are here, put
Mm-hmm.
your child to work.
Mm-hmm.
And I know sometimes people say, oh, it's not allowed. I always ask, and I remember one time going with my son and daughter to work, and they even met a colleague who took them through some planes to see, etc. They were very excited. So it really, I think it helps them understand when mama says she's working, this is what she's doing. When they hear a familiar name, they're like, oh, you were in a meeting with X and X. And so it really also helps them to see that these things that it takes hard work and commitment and discipline. It also reminds them when they don't want to do that physics exam, or they don't want to sit down and do math, there is a consequence to not doing some of those things. So those are some of the conversations that I have with my son. Yeah.
Fantastic. And maybe just to add on to what Liz has said, so the other thing for me, what I do with my daughter, is that also sometimes when I have events, I carry her along so that you can also model that.
Yes, I do that as well. Yes, exactly.
Yeah, so if you have an event, so like when I did my book launch, yeah, I carried her and she was small. Yeah, so I thought maybe let her just see what's happening. I thought maybe she's still young, she's not getting it. Guess what? 2 months later, we're just driving and she asked me, Mom, how did you write your book? Mom, I would like to write my own book. Can you hear? So you model by actually showcasing to them what you're actually doing. Yeah. Nowadays, when you hear my daughter speak, you'd actually think she's a coach because of the words that she that she hears me speak. Yeah. And the other day she asked me, Mom, what's your why? As of, hey, who's the coach here? You know. So the thing is, they have to. You have to actually model to them. Yeah, so that when you tell them this thing, I need some extra hours, this is what it entails, she'll understand. So thank you very much for that, Liz. Yeah, so even taking them to work, taking them to your key monumental points in your career, let them see so that they can actually
Absolutely.
go to aspire.
Just a quick one. I've remembered I took him for one of the panel sessions I had, and later he looked at me and he asked me, how are all those things
How
in
do you
your head?
remember?
And I told him the same way you know all these football teams is the same way I know all these things. So it really helps them.
Yeah, it does. And so the fact that they see you doing it, they will aspire to even be better. They will aspire. Yeah. So thank you for that. Another question, Marsha, maybe for Maggie, and then one for Emily.
All right. I think either Emily or Maggie can take this one. John is asking, a question I have is, how can I build a success circle authentically without it feeling transactional or self-service?
Without, sorry,
Feeling
just
transactional,
uh-huh.
feeling transactional or self-serving?
Okay. So I think let's hold on that because it's the next question we're going to tackle. Maybe ask another question.
This one is for you, Police. What if you were excellent at your current role and have solid network, but not the line of profession you'd like to pursue long term?
Sorry?
Sometimes being a but not the line of professions you'd like to pursue long term.
So how do
So
you start
sometimes,
switching?
yeah, being a loner is because one isn't practicing yet, but they may have the academic background. So how do you tackle this?
Yeah. So you're going to, you remember we were talking about the learning circles? Yeah, the area that you want to shift to or you want to pivot to. Yeah, so like for example, like for me, I was in HR 21 years. Then I wanted to pivot into coaching. So what did I start doing? I started hanging out with coaches. I started learning about the craft of coaching. Yeah, I started learning what it takes to actually excel in the profession. So you're gonna find a learning circle in the area that you want to pivot to. Then you're going to also find people who are actually exceptionally very good in that area. You have seen my model here. Yeah, find people you can learn from, people who have gone ahead of you, so you learn from them. Yeah, but you cannot learn in isolation, guys. Yeah, so if you sit back and you say, I want to get here, and you're doing nothing about it, it won't happen. And then the beauty about now finding yourself in those circles, the next thing is you're going to start volunteering yourself to do some of that work for free. So actually, when I started coaching, I did a lot of work for free, so much. But guess what? With that volunteerism, that's when you get clarity about the thing that you want. Actually, you even confirm that you really want to get into it, because now you're doing it for free. There's no real repercussions, yeah, of if you do it well or not. But you get to learn how passionate you are in that area. Yeah, so I volunteered, and by the way, I volunteered to one program, a life coaching program, for a year for free. And I used to turn up, but I used to do it. But guess what? I was learning. I was learning, and actually, the key deductions from that service of that 1 year, it actually formed the foundation of how I coach today, because I got to really see where the real problems are with human beings. So if you do not volunteer yourself, if you do not serve others, you cannot grow. Yeah. So as you do that, guess what? Now you're getting better at it. You're getting the certifications for it. And then guess what? Opportunities come up. And guess what? Who has the experience and who's ready to do it? You. So that's how you quickly pivot. Yeah. But you will not pivot if you're doing it in isolation. Is that okay? Okay. Another question for Emily and Maggie.
There's no other question in the chat at the moment.
Okay, cool. Aya, sawa. Don't worry. So we're gonna move on because we are about to finish. So I want us to talk about what are the qualities that someone needs to have to be a valuable member of a success circle. Yeah, what are the qualities you require to be a valuable member of a success circle? Because you don't want to be that kind of person who sits in success circles, but you're not adding any value to others. So what are the qualities that make you exceptional, that people want to have you in their success circles? So I'll start with Maggie, and then we can move to Emily and then Liz.
Okay. So I want to take a scenario. Let's assume that I am in a success circle and I feel that I don't have much to offer. Let's start from that scenario, yeah? Because there's also that thing for the imposter syndrome in a success circle. But when I look around, I'm like, hey, Lizzie is doing so much better than me. And Emily, oh my God, I saw her on social media that day, or shaking hands with people. How am I going to add value? Yet I'm already in their success circle. So how do you get over this imposter syndrome as a start, as a baseline? And what I've learned is that just showing up for others, because you don't have to be the person who opens a big door, because that's now the next level. How to show up for others. If a member of my success circle has won, because a success circle is mutual, we are there for each other. I celebrate their wins. I even offer to help, even before somebody requests for my help. I can give an example. A friend of mine is in a success circle, and one of us unfortunately lost a loved one, and they were going, and her kids and the person who lost a loved one were going to the same school. And she was like, wait, this person is a big boss somewhere. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to offer to pick her kids from school every day and drop them. And that was a game changer, because when they had conversations several months later, the person said, you really were there for me. What can I do for you? So when you're genuine and you're doing things that are humane, then that is the baseline in terms of contributing positively. Then after that baseline is within your network, what can you do? It could be a referral. I was in a meeting. I don't know that this is going to open any door, but let me connect you guys. It could be as far as when you're having a lunch or like an event, inviting people who can connect. I do like what Pauline does. Pauline can introduce you until you're like, hey, is that me? So, putting out word about friends that can get them into the right space. And eventually, the minute you start doing that, at some point you'll actually know what is important to Pauline, what's important to Lizzie, what's important to Emily. And the minute you get it, then you are a contributing member of the success circle. I'd like to just add one last thing. Your success circle has to be dynamic. It can't be the same 10 people for the next 30 years. It could be you have this circle, but you also have another one that challenges you. And I always say that, and I don't feel jealous that my friends have other friends, because they're friends for seasons and they're friends for times. So I'd say, assuming your success circle, you've gotten to the point where you seem to need more, you're open. Go out and get more contacts, network, and then bring them to this circle that you're also intimate with, and move together with your success circle. Because eventually, I believe that there's always gonna be an outlier in a success circle, somebody who does much better than others. They never leave, but they also need to amplify their success with others, and then get all of us to work with them upwards. So it doesn't have to be transactional. Be considerate. Do what is human. Do what somebody would do. And that's how you become relevant in a success circle. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Maggie, that you've brought up the platinum rule. Yeah. So that if you can crack this, your life and relationships, you have cracked relationships. So for me, I learned this, I think, in my 20s. The platinum rule: treat people the way you would like them to treat you. Yeah, treat people the way you'd like them to treat you. Yeah, so if you learn that and you're able to reciprocate, to always go out for others. Yeah, like for me, I think if I learn something, I'm like, why should I know it alone? I share with everybody. Yeah, because I'm like, why should I die with the information alone? You understand? So, treat people as you would like them to treat you. But the thing is, you can be even the one who's giving more. Yeah, it is okay. You understand? Because maybe that's your role in that group at this moment. Do you understand? Yeah, and then maybe somebody else will come in and also you will learn from. Yeah, so thank you for the platinum rule reminder. Okay, Emily?
Thank you, Paulina. I'd like to start by answering Joseph Matwale, who said, whose question was, how can I build a success circle intentionally, authentically, without it feeling transactional or self-serving? And it's really building on what you have said just now. At the end of the day, it's about, what can I do? Always ask the question, how can I serve you? How can I add value? Because then when you're intentionally thinking about the other, it's no longer about you. And John Maxwell says that you touch a heart before you ask for a hand. So consistently, my practice, and I have seen this throughout my career, it is, you do your job just doing it. You're just doing your best, whether it is an assignment you've been given at work, you've gone, to a networking forum, you genuinely want to know, Liz, hey, what are you up to? What are your interests? And then there's Maggie, and you're genuinely listening to them just to understand and to appreciate what they value, what's important for them in that moment. And today is not your day, probably. It will come. The next time you meet that person, if you ask for a favor or you are asking for a meeting, they'll remember you because you had a meaningful conversation. They won't remember you for that person who's always asking for favors and asking for things. Yeah. All right, and then just topping up on the attributes of success circle, the individuals in a success circle. I think Maggie has capped it really well, talking about people who can listen, people who've got empathy, and for me that really speaks to emotional intelligence, which we all grow over time. There's a reason why they say when they're asking you to apply for jobs and they say you need 10 years of experience, there's something around growth that happens over the years. The 10,000 hours mastery rule, you know that it takes 10,000 hours to master anything. And the only thing that grows in us, technical, you can go to school and learn that. But the one thing that we all must develop as leaders, individuals, is our emotional intelligence. It grows with time. And how do you grow it? It's really just being able to catch those feelings when you have them. When you're in this conversation in this moment, are you thinking about, okay, somebody just sent me a text actually and said, oh, Maggie doesn't look 50. Well done to you, Maggie. And so being present also, it's around I'm listening. He caught that because he said, when I turn 50, you're actually present in that moment. You are genuinely listening. And it's about others, not necessarily you. The second thing I want to talk about is honoring your commitments. Your successor, people need to know you, that they can count on you. You are reliable. When you say you will do 1, 2, 3, you will come for this session. Don't let Pauline, be there stressed. 10 minutes into it, you haven't joined, you said you will come. Can people count on you? Yeah, in the littlest of things. Can they count on you? Can your son count on you at home? When you promise, I will come and pick you from school, can they count on you? My son the other day he knew how busy I am. And so he comes to my phone and he's like, Mom, can I see your calendar? He's 10. And then he marked closing day. It's closing on this day. I need to come and pick him up. So, can you imagine the disappointment? So again, it's those little things, honoring your commitments amongst your peers. And finally is showing up. I think Maggie talked about showing up. Are you able to show up for your friends when you need to show up? Sometimes you're not ready, but just show up. I showed up today, and guess what? I was telling Pauline, I am not sure I want to do these things. I hate cameras. I don't like being, online. And she's like, no, you must come. And so sometimes it's a stretching yourself and being able to say, I'll show up. And because it's in service, I am offering something, the little I know. But guess what? I have learned so much more in this community, just getting to interact. And I have 2 new connections, Liz and Maggie, isn't it, into my network. So I'd like to end there. Thank you.
Fantastic. And look at how good you're doing it. Yeah? Look at how well you've done it. So iron sharpens iron, guys. Yeah? Are you elevating each other? So I told her, by the way, you have no alternative. You're my friend. We are going to grow together. Yeah, so thank you very much, Emily, for honoring the invite. Scared and all, but you have done a fantastic job. Okay, Liz, maybe you can share a few qualities.
Yes, thank you, Pauline. I think Pauline, Emily and Maggie have nailed it on the head regarding this. I really love the perspectives they've shared. And I know we're talking about success circles and how we need to make new connections, etc. And I think everybody's struggling to figure out, oh my goodness, how will I balance time to nurture relationships alongside demanding work, life, etc. with everything that's happening in our lives. And I think it's just the only thing I would add is one thing, it's just being present in the moment, 100%. And it goes back to what Maggie and Emily have talked about, just showing genuine interest within your circle, listening actively to what people are sharing and where they're struggling or where they're thriving, and showing up and showing out for them, practicing empathy, and following up consistently. I know we lived in a world where everything is very fast-paced and we forget. And it happened to me. I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm calling you back a week later. I am so sorry. But the beauty is we all extend grace to each other. And I think just having that reciprocity is really, really important. Just going back, Pauline, to what you were saying, just the golden rule, treat others the way you'd want them to treat you. Just kindness, respect, humility. I mean, those are some of the key values that I think it's also Emily who spoke about it. Your success circle has to also have values that you hold dear. Otherwise, you won't have a success circle. That's all I would really add to that. Just being present in the moment.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. And yes, I'm sure by now you've picked up that at the back of all this, around success circle and all, is the key ingredient is actually relationships. It's actually your ability to make as well as nurture relationships. Yeah, that's at the core of everything. Yeah, because you remember where I started? I said, God does not bless people. Yeah, God doesn't come down to bless you directly. Guess what? He uses people to bless you. So you have to learn how to nurture those relationships. Yeah. And I'll just give you a simple tip that I use. Yeah. And I've used also since when I was 20. So I use something called the Jesus principle. Yeah. So Jesus had a principle in terms of his relationships. Yeah. So there is the 3, the 12, and the 72. So the 3 are the core, your inner core friends. The ones that now these ones, they can go to the grave with all my secrets. You understand? Yeah, they know you well. Yeah, they know you well. Yeah, so these ones for me, actually, I devised a way and I decided, you know what? Initially, we would at least meet every once a month because remember, relationships have to be nurtured. If you don't nurture them, they die. Yeah, so I used to meet initially when we were younger, we used to meet once a month. But now, because we've all become busy, people are running their businesses and all. Yeah, others are globetrotting. What do we do? So we purpose to meet quarterly. Yeah, so that's your inner core. So these ones are important. These are the ones. And how do you select them? These are the ones. If you're not there, you know that they can take care of your children and they can bring them up the same way you would have brought them up. That's a very key criteria. Are we together? Yeah, so this is somebody who can actually bring up your own child the way you would do it. Then we have the 12. And now 12, if you remember, so out of the disciples of the model of Jesus is using the disciples. So the 3, you remember there was Peter, John, and James, the ones who read the Bible. Yeah, they were the 3. They were the ones who went up to pray with him when the others slept down there. Go to your Bibles. There were 3 that he found who he always were very close to his heart. Then there are 12. So now the 12, these ones we call them. The inner ones are your inner core. Then the 12, now these ones are your close friends. Yeah. And so these ones are also as important. Yeah. But you might not need to meet them every other month. You understand? So you can also almost do it quarterly. Yeah, you can actually meet them on a quarterly basis or a random, like when somebody has a promotion, maybe you can reach out to them. Thank God there's social media. You can now reach out to people, say those congratulation messages. It's important. Yeah, let them know that you are cheering them on. Yeah, so you maintain those relationships. So you can meet them on a quarterly basis. But now these ones now know that, yes, you actually are concerned about their lives and that you want to grow with them. Yeah. So with time, like for me now, I think my 12 has expanded, but you will see. Then you start out with the model first, get the rationale, and then you'll find that the 12 might even expand based on your level of influence and the interactions you have in the market space. Yeah. Then the 72. Now 72 is acquaintances. We call them acquaintances. Now, these are the 72. Jesus had the 12 disciples, but those 72 that he still picked out to spread the gospel across the world. And they went in twos. So you need 72. And the 72, these are your acquaintances. So they're people you worked with and you even connected with, they are good friends with. Yeah. So in that moment, you were good friends, but you moved on. It doesn't mean that you have to drop it off. You understand? Because there's a reason why you connected. Yeah, so you maintain those relationships. Yeah. So the 72. So for me, in a light way, I'd say the 72 are the people who, when you are getting married, at least you will not have a wedding of 10 people. You have 72 people plus your 12 and the 3 to invite. But anyway, these are acquaintances you have met along the way. You admire certain aspects of their life, you're learning from them, and you'd still want to maintain. But at the core of everything that we do, you have to maintain good relationships. And the other thing I've learned, now as Maggie, my age mate, has said, with the life, you will discover, even as you interact with the many people as you're building relationships, provided they are human beings, there will be friction. Provided they are human beings, there will be friction. So the thing is, when I was younger, I always used to believe that I have to give feedback. You don't have to. So sometimes as you grow older, you realize, but it's not your job. Sometimes don't take away the lesson from people, let them learn. So those are the things. So as you're building relationships, it's a delicate balance. So sometimes you don't have to always fight every battle that is presented to you or any challenge that you come across. But the thing is, just know that you will nurture them. So you will find there are some friendships, they did something, it irritated you, but at that moment you didn't address it. And you intentionally decided not to. Have done that with many people. But guess what? With time, people get to learn and they'll actually come back and say, oh, actually, now I realize my folly. You understand? So you can imagine if you were rough with them at that moment, and then now you decide, this one I'm going to destroy, cut off links, cut off, burn the bridge. There are people who burn the bridge on the way out. Don't do that. They are all these relationships are important. Sawa. So I think we have reached our time, and I want to ask the lovely ladies, what is your parting shot to the professionals who are here, as regards building one's success cycle and relationships in general? So we can start off with Liz. We finish off, we will go to Emily and then Maggie.
Sure. As we wind up, maybe I would like to just say that we're all in a state of becoming. I don't think personally I'll ever reach self-actualization. I feel like I learn something new every other single day. And these learnings are from the intersections or relationships with different people. So what I would say is your success circle should challenge, inspire, and empower you. It should also hold you accountable and remind you that your career success it's rarely a solo journey, and we are witnesses of that. We're testament of that. It thrives in community. So let's continue just building that community. Thank you.
Thank you. Fantastic. Emily, your parting shot?
I wish I could just part short with the Jesus principle. I loved it. Thank you so much for sharing that. So I want to end by saying that maybe sharing a quote that if you're always the best in class, you're in the wrong class. You need to change rooms. Yeah. So really seek to develop yourself because you're not all that. You're not that good. Just get over it. That's how I live my life. And when you think about the success principle, I started by saying that success is not a destination, it's a journey. So appreciate yourself, learn to celebrate every step, like you make one step. Today, I said I will do XYZ, I'll do this assignment, I'll write that book, I'll write that chapter. Just celebrating the small things because the success, remember, it's a circle. So you don't really get to it, but then you get to appreciate every piece that life gives you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Emily. Maggie, over to you.
So I'd like to say a success circle is one of, because there are many of your greatest assets. And when you talk about an asset, if I have an asset that I have to work hard to acquire it. I must work hard to maintain the quality of the asset because I may want to leverage on that asset. And then I have to nurture that asset. Assuming that I own a home, I will have to pay for it. I'm going to paint it. I'm going to make it comfortable. I want to make the place, the house, which is an asset, a very comfortable place. So that's what I'm saying. A success circle is an asset. So attach a value. Could be an emotional value, could be a financial value. In fact, I challenge everyone in this meeting room to value their success circle financially, emotionally, and network. So I can say, assuming the four of us in a success circle, I can say I think if I look at the kind of value in terms of connections I've gotten, I can value it, let's say, to 500 million. If I look at the number of people that I have gotten from you guys networking, I met 300 people. If I look at the hours that I spend with these people per year, it's like 4,000 hours. I saw Emily's profile. You quantify your coaching hours. So the minute you quantify the success circle, then it becomes an asset. And this asset then can appreciate, because it should never depreciate. So let's say in 2025, I met 500 people, I got 300 hours of time, and I made business for about $1 million. In 2026, I should nurture it for it to grow. And nurturing is not me. I think somebody asked here, it's not transactional. I give, and then I hope that somehow I will get. So for me, I think it's an audit of the assets and saying, am I contributing? And am I contributing that this asset grows, not only for me, but every member of the circle. So that's how it goes. So Lizzie, I'm back to numbers. So that's me. Yeah, thank you.
Yes, thank you. And thank you for bringing in, making it more practical. Yeah, so quantify the value of your connections. Thank you. So my parting shot, I'll end with a quote because I started with one. And I'll say that every success story has invisible names behind it. Every success story has invisible names behind it. You've heard it from our panel today. They have been helped by others. Yeah, so we all have the encourager, we have the connector, we have the challenger. Yeah, there are people who are vested in your success. Yeah, so for us to grow, we have to get these circles, and then we have to be active in the circles. We have to be contributing. Yeah, and as they say, mi casa su casa. Yeah, as I grow, you will grow, isn't it? Yeah, what is mine is also yours. You understand? When I open up my network to you, it means now you're part of my circle. Sawa? Thank you very much. Sawa, for the people who don't know what Kiswahili means, it means I hope that is in order and you have enjoyed the webinar. So maybe Marsha, is there any comments you'd like to read for us?
Right. I think we have one or two comments. We have Ramon saying they don't think Emily looks 50.
Marsha, today you're very soft spoken. Marsha, we can't hear you.
You can't hear me?
No.
Let me just add my volume. Is that
I'm at
better?
100 and I can't hear you.
Okay. All right. So there was a comment about age, but I won't really get into that one because there's a question that probably has to be answered. This one goes to everybody from Wamoyo. I don't know why I have lost that question. It was about imposter syndrome, but let me just go to Antonine's question. She says she likes what Maggie said about being dynamic, but how do you keep that real in practice? There's a risk of surrounding ourselves with people who are farmers rather than stretchers, and that can kill growth. I don't know what you have to say about that, Maggie.
And yeah, and thanks. I can see Antonine for that question. And there's this story you learned when you were young, and nobody could tell the king that he was naked. With courage, it is important to select members of your success circle who will tell you the truth. So to avoid that risk of surrounding yourself with people who affirm you, for me, I really seek friends who on a circle that will tell me the truth. And in my circle, I know people who are very candid, and I have learned to provide them with the space where they can give me feedback. And even when I feel that the feedback has hurt my feelings, I have a response. I say, I've heard you. Could you allow me to think about what you said, and then can engage? And that's what it takes a courageous person to have somebody in their circle who thinks differently and is able to tell them the truth. And then also, assuming in a circle and everyone around is affirming, there should be a system where you seek feedback and say, today, I just want to be told the truth. Whether it appeals to my current value system or not. So you have to be a facilitator to get feedback that may not affirm you. So you have a responsibility to select your success circle. And even when your success circle doesn't seem to be giving you this kind of feedback, how do you moderate a session where you get this feedback? And then finally, I liked what Liz said, that sometimes your gut feeling will tell you there's something wrong. And if your gut feeling tells you there's something wrong, how do you reach out to your success circle and say, I think there's something off? What do you think? So it has to be a proactive process. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. So Masha, maybe we can just stick to the comments because I think we've kept people for a while. So are there any other comments? Yeah, so that we don't over prolong it. We have kept our speakers here for a while.
Yes, of course we have comments. Let me just see. There are so many gems that have been dropped today, and the audience is saying thank you to all you ladies. There's lots of people saying thank you to you for all the knowledge that you have dropped today. We have Rennie saying it has been a very rewarding session. So thank you, ladies. Also, we have Christabel saying this has been very insightful, and she's grateful to the amazing panel. So thank you very much, ladies.
Thank you. Thank you. So thank you very much for your feedback, for your comments. We will share them with the speakers so that to encourage them so that they keep doing this and sharing and inspiring others. So I'll say goodbye and good night. And thank you very much for just sitting through and listening to us. And yes, it's our way of giving back. We are grateful. So the speakers don't leave yet. Let's just allow them to leave. And then we'll just touch base for a few minutes before we release you. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Everyone.
Good night. Okay, bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone. Great session.
Thank you. Oh, I can see Kina Ruth Serem from Tanzania. Very good. Lovely. Can see Vinny. Yeah, Swai also from Tanzania. Well done, guys. Thank you. Thank you for showing up. Yeah, thank you for showing up.